here in a second. Okay, please swear the witness.
Yes. Gary Harris, Harris.
Good morning, Mr. Harris.
Good morning.
Can you please tell the jury how old you are?
26.
Do you have any, your name's Gary Harris, right?
Yes.
Do you have any nicknames that you are also known by?
Yes.
What are they?
Rizzy and Gage
Mr. Harris, where did you grow up?
in Philadelphia.
And when you were growing up in Philadelphia, did you finish high school?
Yes.
Did there come a point in the time when you were living in Philadelphia that you began selling drugs?
Yes.
When was that?
I believe it was when I was 16. My mom fell on hard times, and I went to an old head and asked him, can I hustle for him? Can I sell drugs for him? He told me, no, it ain't for me. One of my friends ended up giving me something, and then that's how I started.
And
He
what
gave
was-
me a few pieces. I sold them, and then I went to the old head and told him, let me buy something. He wouldn't front me, but he sold it to me, so
What was
that's
it
how I
that you
started.
started to sell?
Crack,
So he gave you pieces, meaning what?
small baggies.
And at that point, once your friend had given it to you, did the old head, when you say old head, what do you mean by old head?
An older guy that sold drugs in the neighborhood, his name was Cam.
And did you then, after that, you went back to him and he wouldn't front you, you said, but.
Nah, he wouldn't front me, but he sold it to me.
So did you begin then regularly selling crack?
Yes.
At the time, were you selling anything else?
No.
And this is when you were 16
Yes.
in Philadelphia. How long did you sell, did you continue selling crack?
Yes.
How long did you continue doing that in Philadelphia?
Till about 19 or 20.
So 3 or 4 years?
Yes.
And after about 3 or 4 years, did something happen that caused you to make a change in your life?
Yes, I had gotten into an altercation with a few guys, and they had shot my vehicle up. And my mom told a family member, and then that family member told me that I could come to Chester, or I should come to Chester to be safe.
And so did you end up going to Chester?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I went to the Highland Gardens.
And did you end up living there or just going there during the day?
I was visiting in the beginning, and then around 2000 and like the end of 2005, beginning of 2006, I was living there.
So let's start out with when you were visiting. Who were you visiting?
My aunt and my cousin Jamal. A few of my cousins.
A few of your cousins
Yes,
lived there?
yes.
Do you know what area of Highland Gardens they lived in? Did it have any?
Some lived on the 2600 block of Nolan Street, and my aunt lived on the 1300 block of Perkins Street.
And you mentioned your cousin, Mr. Harris. Do you see your cousin in this room?
Yes.
Can you just point him out by describing a piece of clothing, or generally where he's sitting?
He's sitting over, she's in the way. He over there, he got the braids in his hair.
Okay, right here?
Yes.
May the record reflect that he's identified the defendant, Jamal Harris Muhammad.
Yes.
Now, so you had family members in, am I understanding this correctly? You had family members in two different locations nearby, but
Yes.
in Highland Gardens.
Yes.
Your aunt and your cousin Jamal and others lived on Perkins Street, and then you had other relatives on Nolan Street,
Yes.
2600 block. Okay, which is a little bit further. How
It's-
far
it's-
away?
About a block away.
Can we pull up Government Exhibit 3? Do you see the locations that you, or at least where your aunt lived in there? Your aunt and Jamal Harris Muhammad?
Yes.
Right on there?
Yes.
And where would the other location, what was your relative who lived on the other block? Was it, what kind of relative was it?
It was my aunt. My mom also lived on that block.
Okay, where's that?
It's
It's up.
up. Yeah, it ain't on there.
So I'm just gonna see what I'm doing. So your aunt, and Jamal Harris Muhammad lived on this block, and then your other aunt and your mom lived up here? It's off the map, but upward?
Yes. Up there.
Okay. Now, when you first started moving up there, did you start, or you started spending time there, where were you primarily spending time?
I was on the 600 block of Nolan Street, but then something happened up there where the guys got the shooting, so I started hanging on the 1300 block of Perkins.
Okay, I want to break that down for a second. So you were, at this point, are you living there?
Yes.
Are you living with your mother?
Yes.
And so you're hanging out in the 2600 block of Perkins Street. I mean,
Yes.
sorry, Nolan Street. Are you hustling? Are you selling drugs?
Yes.
All right, and what are you selling at that point?
Crack.
And then you said that something happened. Can you please tell the jury what happened that made you change locations?
A gang of guys from another street had problems with guys from that street, and they came up there and they was shooting. And so it wasn't really safe out there, so I went down.
I'm sorry, Mr. Harris, I don't want to interrupt you, but let me just make sure we go through that. They came up shooting. Can you just describe what you were doing at the incident you're describing?
I was shooting dice on the corner.
Were you with anybody?
There was a lot of guys out there that was from up on that side of the street, and we were shooting dice. And the next thing you know, we just hear gunshots. And it was a lot of kids out there, and I wasn't really feeling that. So I went and I told another one of my cousins, and he was like, you could come down here because we ain't got no problems, and they got problems up there.
And I'm sorry, just to be clear, when you say you weren't feeling that, what do you mean by that?
I didn't like the situation. It was too dangerous.
So, who told you that you could come down to? Where did you go down?
I went down to the 1300 block of Perkins Street.
And who told you that you could do that?
My cousin Mal.
Meaning, Mr. Harris Muhammad?
Yes.
Okay. And what did he mean by there was a difference between where he was and where you had been?
Because they didn't have any problems with people on Perkins Street, and the guys up on Nolan Street, they had problems.
So you felt that you'd be safer there?
Yes.
Okay, and so when you moved down there, did you physically move or did you just start hanging out down on Perkins Street?
I just started hanging out down there.
Did you ever end up living on Perkins Street?
Yes.
When did that come about?
Around 2006 or 2007.
When you lived there, where did you live?
At my Aunt Eileen's house.
Okay, and who was living there?
Me, my Aunt Eileen, her son, and Jamal.
Jamal, again, meaning Mr. Harris Muhammad?
Yes.
I see a photograph 295. Do you see the house that you lived in there?
Yes.
Which one is it?
The one to the right with the white car in front of it.
So you're pointing to this house? And where's that, located? Do you know an area called the Cutoff?
Yes.
Where's that relative?
This is the cutoff.
And when you came down to Perkins Street and even before you started living there, you started hanging out there, right?
Yes.
What time did you start hanging out there? What year, I'm sorry?
2006. From like February, January 2006.
And when you started hanging out there before you moved there, were you selling drugs on Perkins Street? Or were you selling drugs?
Yes, I was selling drugs.
I should ask you then, where were you selling drugs?
I would sell sometimes on Perkins and sometimes on Swartz.
Can we see photograph for you again, please? What were you selling?
Powder and crack.
Powder meaning powder cocaine?
Powder cocaine and crack cocaine.
And who were you selling with?
Brant, Clyde, Brandon, Mal, Bird, Craig, Naj, a lot of people.
So you mentioned Brent and Clyde.
Yes.
Do you see Brent in this courtroom?
Yes.
Can you please describe where he's sitting?
He's sitting next to Jamal.
And the record reflects that he's identified the defendant, Brent Hall. And do you see Clyde in this courtroom?
Yes.
Where is he sitting?
Next to Mac.
Right here?
Yes.
All right, may the record reflect that he's identified Clyde Hall. Was anybody else in this courtroom selling at that time?
Yes.
Who's that?
Mo. That's it.
Okay. And Mo, who do you mean by Mo? You put it this way.
Right there.
I object without foundation, Your Honor, that any individual is selling in this case.
Well, rephrase the question so it's clear to the jury that it's based on his own personal knowledge, please.
Mr. Harris, I'd asked you if anybody was selling with you in that area. When you listed all these people, do you know that they were selling?
Yes.
How do you know it?
I've seen them make sales. I've got things from them that make sales.
So the people you've mentioned, including the people in this courtroom, you've seen make sales and or gotten things from them to make sales, meaning you purchased
Yes.
from them.
Yes.
So do you, sorry, I think you did complete this identification of Mr. Wall.
Okay, yes.
Who among the people in this courtroom then, or otherwise, did you purchase from to make sales?
I just purchased from Mo.
Before we go into that, I just want to go back to, you're listing all these people who sold. Was Jayville selling?
Yes.
Was someone named Shaitan Adams, Shady, selling?
Yes.
Was Aladdin Cruz, Lala, selling?
Yes.
Was Reginald Freeman, Reggie, selling?
Yes.
So those are in addition to the people you already listed, correct?
Yes.
And where were you all selling?
On the cutoff, on 1300 block of Perkins Street, or on the 2700 block of Swartz Street.
Were there, among all the people that were out there, and about how many total do you think it was?
$13, $14.
On any given day?
On any given day, it's like 7 to 8 people.
And were there, among the people that you've listed, were there people who were closer to each other than other people?
Yes.
Okay, can you describe to the jury what sort of groupings of people were closer to each other?
Me, Jamal, Craig, and Andre were closer to each other. Jayville and Kareem was close. Bird, Butch, Reg was close. Brent, Clyde, and Brandon was close.
What about Mo?
Mo was all right with everybody, but he mainly, if it wasn't Bird, he wouldn't really be with nobody else.
And so he was closest to Bird.
Yeah.
Now, all of you were selling out there on 1300 or 2700 block of Schwartz.
Yes.
Okay. You said that you were selling powder and crack cocaine.
Yes.
Where were you primarily getting your drugs from to sell?
In Philadelphia?
And was it someone in Philadelphia that you knew from when you lived in Philadelphia?
Yes.
Okay. And did anybody come to you with any concerns about that?
Yeah, Mo came to me one time and was asking me what, like, the product was good or something like that.
What does that mean? I'm sorry. Can you?
He asked me basically he was asking me why wasn't I spending my money with him. And then I told him, you know, nah, the product wasn't good. I haven't been hustling like that, but, you know, when I'm ready to get something, I'll buy from you.
And so he said, why weren't you? I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I'm clear on it and the jury's clear. That the product, he said, what, is his product not good?
Right.
And you said,
And I said, I haven't been hustling like that.
why weren't you buying more from him?
Because I could get it cheaper in Philly.
And so, but did you change your, and at that time were you getting it only in Philly when he came and talked to you?
Yeah.
Did you change your practice as a result of that conversation?
Yes.
How did you change it?
I finished the package that I had, and then I bought something from him. Then I purchased in Philly, then I bought from him, and I was like going back and forth like that.
Why did you start purchasing from him if his prices weren't as good as Philly?
Because it's like a unwritten, unofficial street code that if a person is from an area and they have the drugs, you should buy from them, then go anywhere else to put the money in their pocket and keep it in that area, then go anywhere else.
So you ended up purchasing some from Mo for that reason?
Yes.
When you first, in addition to Mo talking to you, did anybody else have any issues with you starting to sell at the cutoff when you first came there?
In the beginning, when I, maybe around like March or something like that, a customer came around and nobody wasn't out there. And so when the customer came around, I let him know that I had something, and I was about to sell it to him. And Brent came around the corner and was like, "Oh, what you doing, man? You not from around here, man. You can't sell around here." And an older guy that was from the neighborhood was like, "You know."
It's the same.
Brent said that to you?
Right,
Okay. And an older person from the neighborhood was there?
right.
And did it end up being resolved?
Yeah,
How did it get resolved?
because it was like,
You can't say what he said, the older person.
it was like, you know, keep the money around here, then letting it go somewhere else and never coming back.
And so that's what you were going to keep the money with this group.
Right,
And
keep
you,
the money
and,
on.
and you had a connection to this group?
Yes,
What was that?
my cousin is from around there.
And did anybody else have any issues or concerns about you selling there that you thought they, or did you think anybody else had any concerns about you selling there?
Not concerns about me selling, but about me being around, period, because nobody really knew me from that was around there at the time. So people kind of, you know, kept the distance away from me, you know, didn't talk to me or nothing like that. Like when people would go out, nobody would ask me to go out with them, or they'd just leave and I'd be out there by myself.
And did that change?
Yes, after a few weeks, Clyde was out there and I was out there and everybody else left, but Clyde came around for whatever reason and he was like, "Yo, you going to the bar?" I'm like, "Nah, I ain't going to the bar." Like, "Why? I ain't got no ride." He's like, "You know, you can ride with me." And that was it from there.
So at that point, did you perceive yourself as being accepted by the group?
Yeah.
Now, going back to you selling, who were you in the groups? Were you with closer physically with people when you were selling than with other people?
Me, Mal, Craig, and Dre.
Where would you be primarily when you sold? You said you sold both on 1300 and 2700.
Yeah, but primarily I'll be on Swart Street,
So where's that? What, can you point out where you
2700 block of Swart.
Okay, so just in here?
Yes.
And you'd be with Dre, your cousin Mal, and
Yes.
then you'd be with Craig.
Yes.
Is there any reason at all that you were primarily on Short Street rather than on Perkins Street?
Yeah, because we didn't want, well, at the time, Mal didn't want his mom to know that he was hustling. So we kind of went over there because that would keep us safe from that. You know, I didn't never sell nothing in front of her, and he didn't want to. So that was killing two birds with one stone. And also, we would catch the money coming in off of Highland Avenue.
Because if people loop around, they'll come to you first?
Yeah, if they coming up Swartz Street, we could catch them on Swartz. As to them going up Swartz and then coming down and around, we could catch them right there on Swartz coming in.
So over time, though, did you end up, I'm sorry, even during that time, or as time moved on, did you sell on 1300 Perkins Street as well?
Yeah.
And did your cousin Mal?
He made a few sales out there, but he wouldn't normally do it. If he came out and nobody was out, he would sell out there.
And during that time, how much were you selling? How often? What quantities?
20s, $20 pieces, and $10 pieces. And how often? Every day.
Okay, so $20 means $20 worth of what? Was it crack, powder, or both?
No, it was powder.
It was powder?
Yeah.
Okay. This is in the beginning?
This is in 2006, yes.
Okay, and then, I'm sorry, I thought you also said you sold crack. When did you do that?
I've been selling it. Me personally, I came down from Philly selling it, so I never stopped. But Mal never got a chance to get into it because, you know, we got arrested, and that was it.
And so he was selling primarily powder?
Powder, yeah.
And you were selling both powder and crack?
Yes.
Okay, and then what about, and you were selling $10 and $20 pieces?
Right.
How often, what quantities were you selling on a day-to-day basis?
About at least $100 a day.
And when you were purchasing, it sounded like you were going from Philly to Mo, Philly to Mo.
Right.
When you were purchasing from Mo, how much were you purchasing from him?
An 8-ball,
Do you know how many grams that is?
3.5.
Okay. Would you purchase more than that from him, or just that?
A few times I have purchased more than that, but that would be primarily my spending, what I would buy from him, an 8-ball.
And did you, and what would you buy from Philadelphia?
A 1/4 ounce.
So a little bit more?
A crack, yes.
How much is that?
7 grams.
Okay. So, how often would you sell, how fast could you sell the 1/4 ounce?
3 days.
And how fast could you sell the 8-ball?
A day.
So, you would be making those rotations from Mo, Philly, but maybe not always that way, right?
Right.
Okay.
Sometimes I would always have more crack than powder, but I would mainly be trying to sell the crack because that's what I know how to sell. But a lot of times customers come around, they don't want crack, they want powder. So that's how it would go.
And when you saw all these people that you described as selling with you, did you see Brent and Clyde? Where did you see Brent and Clyde sell?
They sold on Perkins Street.
And how often would they be out there selling?
Every day.
And would you see them selling when you were out there?
Yeah.
And what about Jamal? How often did he sell with you? Until he left the area?
Every day.
Now, when you would get it from Mo, where would you get it?
I would call him and he would say, like, meet me on the cutoff, or, you know, wherever I'm at. He'd say, where you at? If I'm not on the cutoff, if I'm up here, because I was living on Nolan Street, so I say, I'm at my mom's house. He would always meet me up there or on the cutoff.
All right, and how would it go down?
I just call him, say, yo, where you at? You know, I need to see you. And then he would come and he'd be like, where you at? He'll come see me. I tell him what I want. He'll leave, go get it, and come back.
Now, when you were selling a 1/4, let's go with an 8-ball, what you got from Mo regularly, how much would you buy it from Mo for?
Anywhere between 100 to 150.
How much would you sell it for?
I will always try to make 300.
Okay, so you'd almost more than double it.
Yeah.
And how would you do that? How would you make it go that far?
I bag it up and I bag up 15 20s, $15 $20 bags
Okay. Where would you bag it up?
at my mom's house.
Is that the only place you used?
Yeah, basically. Or my aunt Elaine used to live across the street from my mom, so I would go in her house.
And you would bag it up and sell it in these smaller quantities.
Yes.
Now, did you ever take anything other than money for the drugs that you sold?
Yeah,
Like
maybe
what?
like a DVD player, a PlayStation 2, something like that, a TV. That was basically it.
Other than Mo, did you ever get supplied with drugs by anybody else at the cutoff?
Nah,
Did you only ever purchase from Mo, or did it ever go the other way?
I purchased from him, but one time, he I guess it wasn't the supply was down, or whoever he was getting from, he couldn't get it, so I made a call to Philly to somebody to see if I could get him something, and they said yeah. So we made that one deal happen.
Well, let's just go through that deal real quick. How did it go down, Mr. Harris?
He knew that I already had my own peoples in Philly, so he said, you think they could get me something? I said, depending on what you try and get. So he said 9 ounces. So I said, all right, I'm gonna call him. So I called him, I asked him, he said, yeah. And I told Mo the price and all that, we went up there and got it, and that was it.
And did you ever do that again?
Nah,
Just that one time?
just that one time.
And when you were selling at the 1,300 and 2,700 at the cutoff, is that, can I say that?
Yeah, that's the cutoff.
When you were selling there, were you at that time only selling powder and crack, or were you selling anything else?
I sold a little bit of weed, and I was selling heroin too.
And was anybody else at the cutoff selling heroin? Sorry, you say heroin, but you mean heroin, right?
Heroin, yes.
Was anybody else selling it at the cutoff?
Nah, I don't believe they were.
Well, was there ever an issue with you selling heroin at the cutoff?
Yeah, I had a customer came down before, and he asked me. He called my phone. And I told him I was in New York, and he said, "Well, all right. Well, I'm going to wait." And I'm like, "All right," but I didn't know he was saying he was going to wait on the cutoff. And so people calling me, telling me, Tommy's out here, Tommy's out here, and I'm like, "Yo." I called Tommy. I told Tommy, "You can't be down here waiting, man. You just can't be standing out there like that. You gotta leave." I told you I'm gonna be like 2 hours. I'm in New York. So Tommy leaves. When I get back, there was guys out there, and Mo came to me and said, I ain't trying to tell you what you can sell or what you can't sell, but we don't need that around here. So.
I just want to, Mr. Harris, I just want to break that down. Why didn't you want him just standing out there waiting for you?
Because, the police, they liable to come around at any time. So, and, a white man in a predominantly drug-infested neighborhood or on the drug street, that's going to bring more police around. People was out there hustling. You don't want that.
And why did, if you know, why was Mo saying to you that he didn't want that to happen down there?
I believe it would have brought more attention.
I object to that speculation. She was asked, "Do you know?" And he said, "I believe."
Your Honor, they had a conversation with him.
Overruled.
Please tell the jury.
I believe that
Well, it's not, well, let me.
it was
you
because
say
it would have.
It's what you recall of happening, of your own knowledge, without speculation, okay?
It was because it would have brought more attention, more police activity to the street.
Why?
Because heroin fiend addicts, users tend to stand around. They gotta get it. They gotta have it, so they're not gonna go nowhere until they get it. So and then by them doing that, the cops are liable to come around at any point in time, and they always coming around. So that would have caused more trouble.
So when Mo talked to you about not wanting that around there, did you continue to have it with you down there?